Hi, welcome to another episode of Kari's Kitchen. I'm Kari Aringer and I'm the winemaker for Cornerstone Cellars, and we're here in the kitchen with my husband Jeff.
Hello.
There he is. Hi, honey.
Hi there.
So some of you may have noticed we haven't been in the kitchen that much.
No.
There's a lot going on at the winery and out in the vineyards. It's harvest time, so we've been spending some time out in the vineyards. We've been spending some time working on the blends and bottling.
I'll drink to that.
We'll drink to that. Cheers. What we have here, and I'll get to this in a moment, is our 2019 Sauvignon Blanc, which we haven't had yet, maybe once or twice, because it is in our new releases that are coming out next month. So in today's kitchen, we're going to do some pizzas and flatbreads, and we got 3 different wines that we're going to taste with those flatbreads. One of them is the 2019 Sauvignon Blanc from the Farina Vineyard. The next wine we're going to taste is the 2018 Fiddlesticks Pinot Noir from Santa Rita Hills down in Santa Barbara. And then the third wine we're going to taste is the Oakville Station Cabernet Sauvignon. And that is coming from, as you might think, Oakville.
Yeah.
And this is the other wine, the 2018 is the other wine that's in the September Wine Club.
That's right.
So we'll be able to try these 3 wines with the 3 flatbreads. I just want to let everybody know, and actually I would like to actually cheers. We have brought Sauvignon Blanc in. Harvest has started for us.
Yay! That started when? 3
Monday.
days ago?
Monday.
Yeah. Yay.
So we picked that vineyard at a couple of different times, and so we've picked some of that Farina vineyard. It came in, it's beautiful. We did a night pick. We took it right into the winery first thing in the morning, pressed it off, and it is currently in barrels, fermenting away quietly.
This is a harvest show then.
It's the harvest show. And the other thing I want to mention really quick before we get to the recipe today is we are very excited that we're getting ready to open up our new tasting room in Yountville. So we were in Yountville. We spent a little time in Napa, and we had the opportunity to go back into Napa, into Yountville. So it's kind of like coming home for us.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. So sometime in September, we'll be able to start hosting guests again up in Yountville. Right now we're in a little construction going on.
A homecoming show too.
Yeah, so it makes perfect sense to do that in the middle of the harvest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what else are you going to do?
It's not busy.
No, nothing else to do. So I'm going to let you start with the recipe, and then I'll jump in with the wines as we go through.
Oh, okay.
So what are we making today, Jeff?
Well, we are going to have a couple of flatbreads, and we're going to be comparing a couple of different crusts. We have done a flatbread show and a pizza show before, but we decided to play around with the non-traditional crust as well as the traditional crust. So the non-traditional crust is for people that are having problems with gluten, want to cut down on their carbohydrates or whatever it is. And one of the best solutions that we found is the cauliflower crust. There's a number of different crusts out there, and you can go to your frozen food section and find them. If you want to be really ambitious, you can try to make your own with almond flour or with cauliflower flour, whatever you want to do. But there's a lot of different ways of skinning the cat, so to speak. And we have a cauliflower crust that we bought, a pre-made one. It's actually perfect. It's a perfect little circle. And we also have a slightly misshapen one made by my own hands. And I kind of let that go because I wanted you to see that it doesn't matter the shape, it's the matter is the taste.
The taste.
And so you can get a real ugly looking pizza that looks like, the shape of the state of Rhode Island, but you can make it taste absolutely delicious. So we have a couple of different crusts. As I said, the regular and the cauliflower. We're going to top it with some very simple toppings. We're going to make basically a variation on the margarita pizza. The very classic, some tomato sauce that we doctored up a little bit with some of the herbs. We use some of the herbs from our friends at the Winemaker's Pantry.
Winemaker's Pantry, Sharon DeMonte, the tastemaker there. She has created some spice herb blends that pair specifically with specific wines. So we have Sauvignon Blanc today. We've got the Cabernet today. She makes one for Pinot Noir as well.
Yep.
Available for sale on her website.
And we were most concerned about the bridge ingredients to get to the Cabernet because we knew Sauvignon Blanc would be fine with tomatoes and mozzarella and things like that. So we used some Cabernet blend of the Winemaker's Pantry. And then once we get the sauce on there that's a little doctored up with Winemaker's Pantry, we're going to put on the most important ingredient on a pizza, in my opinion, which is the cheese. And we're using fresh mozzarella, not burrata, and you can use burrata as well, but you got to be really careful when you're cooking burrata because it'll burn very quickly. But we're using really beautiful fresh mozzarella. We're going to be using some really great Parmesan Reggiano that we just grated. And oh man, That's delicious.
Salty, tart.
And would
I'm
go
thinking
really
Sauvignon
well.
Blanc, right?
Yep. That's a Sauvignon Blanc as well as, I mean, Parmesan goes great with red wines as well. I'm gonna have a Pinot Noir as well. Then we're gonna put some fresh cherry tomatoes right out of our garden on the pizza. And on top of that, on half of the pizza, we're going to put some bacon just to help that jump over to the Cabernet side. The other side is going to remain just sort of the margarita, and that'll be more of the Pinot Noir and the Sauvignon Blanc side as well.
So we'll be able to do taste pairings with the two different crusts, but the same ingredients on each side. So really all we'll be comparing is the crust.
Basically, that's correct.
Good.
And then on top of all of that, we're laying down 5 beautiful leaves of basil right out of our garden as well. And that'll be gorgeous looking, and we will show you what that's like, and then we'll taste it as well with the wine.
And see how they work.
Yep.
All right. So
Tell us about the wines there, honey.
Again, Jeff, I think I will. The 2019 Sauvignon Blanc from Sonoma Mountain, from the Farina Vineyard. Like I said, we started harvest this week on Monday. We've already brought some of the fruit in for the 2021 vintage. It looks like it's going to be a great vintage. And then there's another part of the vineyard we bring in, and that'll probably be a couple of weeks from now. So we do make it in 2 separate lots. What I love about this Sauvignon Blanc is, first of all, the fruit's amazing. And it goes to a couple of really high-end wineries besides us, and so I know that it has a long history of making great wine. And when I bring that in, I ferment that in concrete egg, which it is, a large egg-shaped concrete vessel. Yep, go ahead. Concrete vessel. And it holds about 4 barrels worth of wine, about 240 gallons. And so I fermented that in the concrete egg. I ferment in small stainless steel barrels. I'm using acacia wood. Most wines you find are actually aged in French oak. I'm using French acacia wood. And the reason we're using that is it has more of a floral and a more uplifted aromas and flavors, and a nice round creaminess without having that smoky tannin that you get from a French oak barrel.
And that has lovely fresh fruit as well as the grapefruit and the bright citrus. It's going to be really good with these pizzas.
A little tropical. There's some pineapple, papaya, kind of tropical notes in there as well.
You'll have to pardon me, I got a little piece of cheese stuck in my throat. I had to grab a glass of water.
Oh no. Oh, are you okay?
I'm fine. I think I'll survive this whole show.
All right, let's make a pizza.
All right. You're not going to talk about the other two?
No, I'm going to jump in when I need to.
All right. Then we're going to start with sauce. And this is a little sauce that we got basically out of a jar. It's just tomato paste, or tomato sauce, or I should say. And the tomato sauce has some garlic and some other flavors mixed in. Then we put in the winemaker's pantry and we doctored it up a little bit. You can do anything you want to with the sauce at
Extra
this point.
garlic?
We did extra garlic. We did a little bit of umami powder, but we also can put anything in there you want. At this point, you can put in red pepper flakes. You can put in, whatever flavor that you want to add to your sauce.
Okay.
And you don't need much. About a big tablespoon is all you need, because you don't want to drown the pizza with sauce, and you don't want to make your dough too soggy by getting it too mixed in with too much sauce.
And you don't want the overpowered flavors. You actually want them to support the wine, to work with the wine and be balanced.
It's supposed to be a subtle marriage of balance, exactly. And if you'll notice, if you go to a really good pizza maker, they always start in the center and they work their way out. I just take the spoon and work it out from the center, and then just smear it around to where I have a nice blend of sauce as a base. And I only need about a tablespoon for each crust. Then I smear it around.
So now, that crust has already been baked.
This crust and the pre-made crust has already been baked. I took the pre-made crust and I crisped it up a little bit in the oven. The other one, I took a real simple crust that you can buy a dough ball at the grocery store.
Frozen.
And I cut, yes, exactly. Then let it thaw, and I cut it into 4 pieces. It'll make 4 pizzas for each ball. I mean, and the ball is like $5. It's so cheap.
It's a bargain, and it's already done.
And then you have to roll it. You have to take some, if you want to use a roller, but you still have to take some flour. I like to stretch it by hand. So it's kind of like getting a napkin perfectly round and flat for the table. And I just do that, or I actually do the old-fashioned flip. And
Which
that
he does.
helps to have a higher
Ceiling is
ceiling
helpful.
so that we don't have to pick anything off the ceiling.
Right.
But I do that, I get it as uniform as I can, but as I said, you can start with a really ugly crust. I mean, this one literally looks like Rhode Island.
It is one of the most misshapen crusts I've ever seen you
Yes,
make.
absolutely, and I may have all done that on purpose.
Well.
What I do then is I put in a nice 10-ounce non-stick pan. I put a little bit of olive oil, medium-high heat, put it on there and just let it crisp so that you're working with something that's already crisp like this, and you get a nice brown spots on it, and it's really lovely. Then you can just put it in the oven. This one was already pre-made. It was somewhat crisp, but a little soft, and after playing around with them, I decided that they needed a little crisping in the oven.
Yeah.
So you have the pizza crust there, you have the pizza sauce there, and then you start with the cheese.
Your ingredients.
Everybody needs cheese.
Again, you've got fresh mozzarella.
Fresh
Yep,
mozzarella.
easy to find, especially this time of year in the grocery store.
Absolutely.
Fresh tomatoes. These happen to come from our garden, but they are also available in the grocery stores right now, and the produce is amazing.
And you don't have to use cherry tomatoes. I like the look of cherry tomatoes because they look like little, half orbs right on your pizza. It's really beautiful, but you can chop up some tomatoes if you want to.
First slice.
And if you're not a fan of fresh tomatoes, don't put them on there. Just use the tomato paste if you want, and tomato sauce, and then just put whatever toppings you want on there. And as far as toppings go, I mean, it's just like ordering pizza on the phone. You literally just put on there whatever you like.
Oh, except pineapple, not that. So,
Well, some people love pineapple.
I know, but pineapple, the sweetness, isn't going to work very well with the wines.
It's not.
That's my objection.
On top of the fresh mozzarella, I put in a lot, and I mean a lot,
Yeah.
of grated Parmesan,
Yeah, that
because
looks great.
Parmesan is the #1 pizza cheese in the world, and Parmesan Reggiano is so good anyway. But you pile it on there, and the mozzarella is very has a lot of moisture in it, high moisture content, and so that'll melt very easily and spread out, and then the Parmesan will literally melt in place and create these little bubbles that will just make your mouth real happy when you bite into
Your
it.
happy mouth. Okay, the second wine we're going to taste with the pizzas is our 2018 Pinot Noir from Fiddlesticks Vineyard in the Santa Rita Hills down in Santa Barbara.
Then I take the
Go ahead.
tomato halves. It's very simple. I just picked the tomatoes, I rinsed them off, took the stems off of them, and then I have them cut in half and I spread those around. So go ahead with your Pinot Noir discussion.
And all I was going to say is next week we'll be headed back down there again to take one more look at the vineyard. We're getting very close to wanting to harvest that as well.
Yeah, we were there a couple of weeks ago and we're going to be there next week.
And last year we brought it in right around Labor Day. So it looks like we're sort of on schedule, maybe a little bit later than last year, which would be nice to bring that in after Labor Day.
Well, that was really crazy with the holiday traffic and trying to get the grapes up here and the truck drivers sitting in traffic. It was no fun.
No, it made it quite a challenge. But when the grapes are ready, the grapes are ready. So there's not a lot we can do about that.
They don't take vacations.
It's weird. It's very weird. Today we were out in the vineyard quite a bit. We did some more sampling. We're starting to pull berry samples so we can test for bricks, level of sweetness and pH and acidity. We've got a few vineyards that are coming close, that it's a little earlier than last year and a little bit earlier than the year prior. But it looks like it's going to be a really great vintage. The drought long term is obviously not good for people and plants alike, but in the short term, because this is a drought year, the vines don't have as much shoot growth and the clusters are smaller, the berries are smaller, so the juice to berry ratio is less. And so we're going to have some really beautiful, concentrated, rich wines this year. So it's really, so far, by tasting the fruit in the vineyard, looking at the numbers, we are going to have a really, really beautiful vintage.
The next thing I put on was the bridge to get over to Cabernet. For half of the pizza, half of each of the pizzas has some bacon that's pre-cooked. It's not super crisp, but it's mostly cooked all the way through. And then that gives you a little extra fat, a little extra flavor. Nobody hates bacon, but at this point you can also make the decision that I don't want bacon, I want pepperoni.
Yep.
I want salami.
Sausage.
I want sausage. Put on your favorite meat. If you want to put strips of beef on there, go right ahead, or pork.
Ground beef, yeah.
Whatever you want, or ground beef, anything you want.
Did you mention Cabernet?
This is the one that's going to help bridge to Cabernet. Yes, I think I did mention Cabernet.
I have Cabernet here in my glass.
My gosh.
So this is the other new club release for our club members. You'll be getting this in your September shipment. This is the 2018 Oakville Station Cabernet Sauvignon. And it actually has a little bit of Cabernet Franc in it and a little tiny bit, a couple percent of Merlot, also from the Oakville Station. So it's 100% Oakville Station wine. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. You haven't tried yours yet, but I have a feeling that with the bacon and the saltiness, yeah, that's your, yeah, the bacon with a little bit of saltiness.
Ooh, that smells like the sweetest little earth that you could ever
Doesn't that smell sweet?
Mm.
And a little bit of dark berry, maybe some boysenberry.
Earthy sweetness. The other thing I do is since I had plenty of Parmesan, I just buried the little remnants of bacon with a little extra Parmesan.
Oh, darn it. More cheese?
Yep, and then as decoration on top, but also to help with a little bit of the flavors, is I take 5 beautiful basil leaves and I just put them on top and make a little star out of them. So we have
Nice.
a little escapee, but we have a beautiful margarita pizza with half of it with a bit of bacon. And once again, you can put bacon, pepperoni, whatever you want on there, or if you don't want any meat at all, if you're a vegetarian, leave it off, because this is a beautiful vegetarian pizza, and you can use the ingredients from the winemaker's pantry to make a bridge to your Cabernet or to your Pinot Noir. Speaking of Pinot, I didn't taste that either.
I know, I was wondering when you were going to get to that.
Well, I was busy making stuff.
Santa Rita Hills Pinot Noir.
Beautiful. I love Santa Rita Hills. It's so much fun. It's one of my favorite trips to make. We make it quite often. And I love the fact that you have a vineyard down there because it forces us to go down a couple of times before harvest.
Darn it, we got to go again. So we'll be going down there again next week. It really isn't a very long drive. We've done it in about 5.5 hours. And it's just have a nice little road trip to get out of the house every now and then. So
yeah, you put on your vineyard boots, and that's a heavy foot that she's got.
We get down there fast. Yeah. So, and it's just a beautiful area. It's maybe 12 miles from the ocean. It's heavily affected by the marine layer that comes in. It's often in the fog in the mornings. When we were down there a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, we were fogged in the morning. It cleared off in the afternoon. The beautiful sunshine, but not very hot. The temperatures don't shift all that much from day to night. And the soils are well drained and they're volcanic, chalky, white. The vines struggle to produce fruit, but man, the fruit they produce is amazing. So Santa Rita Hills is one of my favorite places to source Pinot Noir.
It is God's little acre.
It is.
Then you have it on a nice cookie sheet, and all you do is you take these 2 pizzas and you put them in the oven.
At what temperature?
I like around 450. You can do 425 and let it go longer. You could go 500. I mean, if you have a pizza oven in your backyard.
And a lot of people do.
Yeah. I mean, some of them are wood fired, some are gas fired. If you can get it up to 600, 700, 800, but then you may not want to pre-cook your crust as much because it's
going to sit right on that hot stone.
It's a fry master at that point.
It's going to sit on that hot stone. Yeah, we don't have a pizza oven, but we have produced these pizzas out on the grill. And you know, we can get that grill up to 500 or 600 degrees.
Yes,
and so
and
we've done that way.
Put the pizza stone out there and it's really good.
Yeah, and then you don't have to fire up your oven on a hot summer day.
That's right.
Like today.
And through the magic of pre-cooking.
Oh my goodness, what do you got, hon?
I actually made some pizzas earlier this afternoon, and they're done. Look at that.
You know what, those are beautiful.
Can you see those?
I think you can.
I'm going to pin them down, and look at that.
Look at that. Honey, those look fabulous.
So, the testing that we did yesterday worked out pretty well, so let's see if it works out today.
So, I think what I'll do is we'll start with the Sauvignon Blanc. How about if we do that? We'll start with the lightest.
We'll do a little piece of the non-bacon side.
Okay. Not that the bacon wouldn't go. It could. It would. We'll see. We'll be the judge of that.
Our guess would be that it would be better without the bacon for the Sauvignon Blanc, but I'm just cutting these 2 pizzas, in half, so that I'm dealing with half bacon and half non-bacon.
I like that you have exactly the same ingredients on both.
Yes.
So half
That's
bacon,
the best way to have a good comparison.
To do a comparison. Yeah. Well, one time we actually did a bacon comparison, and we got 6 of our favorite bacons.
Yes.
And you cooked each of them exactly the same, and that was pretty interesting to try them all side by side.
I tried cooking them exactly the same.
Pretty good. Yeah, without getting them all mixed up.
Okay.
And we did find a favorite.
Now, I don't know whether you can hear that or not, but the basil leaves on top will actually crisp up.
crispy.
If you want them a little less crispy, then about 2 minutes before you're done cooking, which is basically watching the cheese melt, what you do is you leave off the basil until about 2 minutes prior and put them in there. But I kind of like them crispy. It's kind of like fried sage leaves, one of my favorite things.
Oh, fried sage leaves are delicious too.
Oh, yeah.
I like that you can put anything on here. You can just go into your refrigerator and put whatever ingredients on there that you want. Little bit of cheese. It doesn't even have to necessarily be mozzarella or Parmigiano. We've got cheese in there from a cheese thing we did yesterday. We could have put any number of cheeses on.
Oh yeah, we could have had a 10 cheese pizza.
We could have. That seems excessive, but maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know whether we've ever had less. I'm going to give that to you.
Okay.
And I'll take one.
All right.
And I'm going to give you another piece that has.
So what I'm going to do
crust.
first then is I'm doing the cauliflower crust. We didn't make that by hand. We actually did purchase that because there's very, very good crust, pre-made crust available in the store, grocery store, freezer case.
Oh,
so
sorry.
that's okay. That's right. I've got the cauliflower and then that's the...
And I gave you the bacon.
Oh, darn it. That's because you know I love bacon.
Yeah.
I really do love bacon.
Let's have
Excellent.
a controlled experiment.
Okay. All right. Are we ready? I'm going to
Not
taste
quite.
the wine. Okay. No,
Go
I'm going
ahead.
to taste the wine. And we do this in our paired tastings in the tasting room. Our hospitality, Sean and Jackson and Matt all got together and worked out at some tastings some pairings in the tasting room. So what we'd like to do is give it a little swirl, taste the wine, revisit that if you need to. Go ahead then and taste a bite of whatever it is you're pairing.
It's really just a good excuse to get an extra sip of wine, is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I always take such a huge bite.
But it works. I know. We've been watching those cooking shows where they take giant bites.
Which I do too. So I have to say, I was a skeptic for the cauliflower crust,
Yep.
but that is beautiful.
It works out well.
If you didn't tell me it was cauliflower, I probably wouldn't know.
Well, I improved it a bit today by pre-crisping the crust. Yesterday the crust was a little soft. You have to be careful with almond flour crust and all the alternative crusts, including the cauliflower. It can be a little soft, so you may want to pre-crisp that.
Just to keep it crisp.
Unless you have an 800-degree oven
Yeah, we don't.
in the backyard, which we don't.
All right. Let me know when you get to that, when you try the Sauvignon Blanc with
I'm
that.
ready.
Because I think that's a very interesting pair. Because the taste, the bite, the nibble, the food changes the wine.
Oh, dramatically. You have the sort of tangy characteristic of the cheese, Parmesan, and the creaminess of the mozzarella. And then you have that little herbaceous character from the basil, and then you have that nice acidic tang of the tomato, and plus the tomato sauce. It's a very interesting combination. What do you think?
Interesting in a good way, or interesting like you're in a museum looking at art?
No, in a good way.
That's interesting. In a good way.
In a good way. I like it a lot. But I think it makes the wine a little less herbaceous and a little less fruity, just like more vinous. Like it brings out the acidity and the alcohol a bit.
Oh, I'm actually getting a little bit more fruit as
More
well.
fruit, okay.
I am getting a little, but acidity and fruit. So what I love about that is that it actually cleanses the palate. There's a little bit of tartness to it, and it makes me want to go back in for a piece of pizza.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's try another piece of pizza with
I'm gonna do that
the
now.
regular crust. Or maybe standard
Oh
crust.
my God, I'm wearing a napkin. Thank God I'm wearing an apron.
You can hear the crispiness. Yes.
I probably should have worn an apron just to dinner. Oh wait, okay. Fresh tomatoes. They're barely cooked. They're warmish.
That's exactly the way you want them.
Because it was just in there long enough to melt the cheese. It doesn't take but a few minutes. This is such an easy, fast thing to make for dinner.
The tomato sauce is cooked. So you're getting cooked tomatoes as well as that fresh tomato. They're not cold, but they're not cooked. They're just warmed all the way through, which makes them juicy, but can soften your crust, which is the advantage, I think, that the standard crust has over the or the alternative crust, because it's so soft to begin with, it can't really take that much moisture.
Right.
That is a gorgeous pizza.
That really, and it's so simple.
As they would say, it's a good bake.
That is a good bake. I think we've been watching too many baking shows.
Yes, I think so.
Probably. All right. In the interest of time, I would love to linger here because it's delicious, but I think we should move on. So Pinot
Let us
Noir.
move.
I don't
Pinot
think
Noir.
you're ever mind that we're moving ahead to Pinot Noir.
I'm always looking forward
So,
to Pinot Noir. It being my
2018.
favorite grape.
Pinot Noir, Fiddlesticks Vineyard, Santa Rita Hills. Again, I'm going to go ahead and taste Pinot first. Revisit that.
I'm going to slide you a piece of bacon
Oh, please. Please
so
do
that
that.
you can try it with the red wines.
You know, in tasting the Pinot again, I'm getting big fruit, but there's an earthiness to that as well. There's some complexity there. There's a little bit of baking spice, which is interesting because the spice mix that Winemaker's Pantry has for Pinot Noir has some of those same notes in it.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. And
I'm gonna
there's a
grab that.
lot of that baking, that
Yeah.
winemaker pantry in the sauce itself.
Yeah, so that's the Winemaker Pantry spices. We have those available for sale in our tasting room. But what we did in a couple of our wine club shipments, we put packages in, which has been fun. But I blew through these right away.
Yes, we did.
So now I'm buying these because we use
Absolutely.
them a lot.
Now, I like this because this is from our friend Kathy down in Fiddlesticks, and she grows some really good fruit.
So I'm going to try again. I'm going to try the cauliflower crust
Okay.
with the bacon,
Which
and
is,
and then the regular pizza crust with the bacon.
yeah.
Because I feel like I'm going to like it because it's got bacon.
But what you were saying earlier was that you tried the non-bacon standard margarita, and it was very good with the Pinot Noir.
It was good with the Pinot Noir.
Okay.
Yeah. But now I'm going to try it and see if the bacon.
If the bacon changes the equation, I'm taking a big bite of bacon.
The other thing I think that would go well with this, and we can ask Jackson, he's our hospitality guy in our Vista Colina tasting room. He's all about the Merlot and the bacon, and I learned that from him. He's got a couple of recipes, and he loves putting bacon together with our Merlot, also from Oakville Station. So
Several months ago we did that, but I looked at the old recipes, and this has a tomato sauce base.
Yeah.
His had an Alfredo base.
it did. Sean's Pizza did.
Yeah, Sean's Pizza
Yeah,
did.
we just reposted Sean's Pizza actually.
Yeah, with bacon
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
cheese. This is more of a classic with the tomato sauce.
That recipe that he put up was so popular, we reposted. It's been about a year since we did that.
Absolutely. Boy, bacon brings a whole new party to the game, right?
Oh my God. Oh yeah. That's fantastic. So let me ask with the cauliflower crust, it's gluten free.
Yep.
It's not low carb. Is it low carb?
It's low carb. It's not no carb.
Okay.
It has much fewer carbs than like a regular
Yeah.
pizza.
Yeah.
There's no gluten.
Is it vegan?
You know, I think the box does say it's vegan.
Okay. Yeah, which means they didn't use the egg or anything. Yeah.
They're not
Good.
using egg, yeah.
Good.
So it's cauliflower crust,
Right.
made with cauliflower flour, vegan, no gluten, low carbs. And in a quarter of a pizza, you're only getting 14 grams of carbs, which is not a lot.
No, except I could eat a whole pizza.
It's true.
I think that serving size, that's crap. That, I'm sorry. This is your serving size. I'm like, no, it's not.
Well, you just have to go with that because it's the standard science
Yeah.
that they use to measure.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm going standard crust pizza with bacon.
Standard crust pizza with bacon.
Oh my goodness. And that is our favorite bacon, that Black Forest bacon.
And now you've got that crispiness again with that standard crust.
And then there's a little bit of salt in the bacon.
Yeah.
So it does up the salt in the game a little bit, which makes it super friendly.
It pops the fruit. Oh gosh,
Fruity.
that's heaven.
Isn't it?
I mean, first of all, I love Pinot Noir. Secondly, I love bacon. And thirdly, I'm a big pizza fan. So, my gosh,
I know.
that's like plus. Oh yes, thank you very much more.
Sorry I put you through this, honey. I'm so sorry.
Uh,
All right, let's do one more.
When you told me the theme this week, I thought, oh, I'm going to enjoy this.
That'll be fun. Although you say that every week.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. One more. So we got the third wine is also a wine club selection in September. Your wine club members are going to be getting this first. It's the 2018 Oakville Station Cabernet Sauvignon. Mostly Cabernet Sauvignon, tiny little bit of Cabernet Franc, and a tiny little bit of Merlot, all from the Oakville Station. So
What a nice selection for September. September being the transition month into fall. So you're having Sauvignon Blanc, which reminds you that it was just summer, and you can have it with all your summer dishes before they're gone. And then you have Cabernet, which gives you that winter's coming.
It's sort of wintry, but it's filling and it's warmth. It's like a warm hug sometimes. And sometimes Sauvignon Blanc for me is like a fan on a hot day. You get this nice cool breeze, it's refreshing.
Exactly.
But as the seasons change, you're like, maybe, but warm.
And you can start having those dishes that you look forward to in the cold weather.
Braised
and you
short
have
ribs.
it, yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't want to go into the full-blown cassoulet and all that stuff, the winter dishes, but you can start having some
The
nice
autumnal stuff.
beefy dishes.
Yep, and you know,
Mushrooms.
I know I hate to say this, but you know the holidays. So like you have Thanksgiving and sometimes when you gather your friends and family to the table and you bring a few wines, but there's dishes across, you know, people are bringing stuff and sharing things, and it's
a
nice
food
to have
holiday.
some wines that will pair across the board. And I have to say, Sauvignon Blanc, any time of the year.
Absolutely. And Cabernet, this is not an aggressive, nasty, in-your-face Cabernet. It does not overly tannic. It's super friendly. It'll go with a lot of different dishes.
Round and soft and luscious. And how do you like it with the pizza?
I just finished tasting it with the Sauvignon Blanc. I'm going to taste it once again with the Cabernet.
I have to say, I really am pleasantly surprised about the cauliflower crust.
Yes.
I was prepared to not like it.
Oh, man, that's good. It brings out a little bit of earthiness in the Cabernet, but just the way you want it. You know, just a little bit more oomph, a little bit more...
Balances out that fruit.
Yeah, a little bit more depth. Yeah, exactly. A little less fruity, even though it's a very friendly, fruity Cabernet. You get a little bit of that, oh yeah, that's Cabernet.
Cabernet. Yeah, Napa Cabernet.
Very good.
All right, I'm gonna do one more, and then we should wrap it up.
What are we doing?
I haven't done my regular crust yet with the Cabernet.
I just did that.
Hold on, I'll catch up. Give it a little taste. There's a big old piece of bacon sitting right there with my name on
I
it.
kept sneaking some more Pinot in.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Oh. Yeah, that extra crispiness from the standard crust. Pretty good for texture. Either one though. I'm of two minds here. I would be happy with either one of those pizzas.
Oh, absolutely. I love that you, like I said, you did them the same. 2 cheeses, the fresh tomatoes from the garden, and a little basil.
You couldn't cook them more identically because I put them in the same pan in the same oven at the same temperature. Done.
Done. You didn't salt and pepper these at all. You did no additional seasoning, just for the record. So when the people go to look for the recipe on the website, there's
The only thing I did was the winemaker pantry.
Yeah, which has a tiny bit of salt in it, but not very much. Like it's herbs and spices for the most part.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
So that is our exploration of
That's pretty
crusts
fun.
versus pizza and wine.
Boy, I'm excited for the September shipments that are going out to our wine club members.
I'm excited to make more pizza.
Yeah, the 2019 Sauvignon Blanc from Farina Vineyard.
Yeah.
Going to have a little bit more of that. The Pinot Noir has been released. People have that in their cellar now. And then newly released is the 18 Oakville Station Cabernet Sauvignon.
And look at us, both of us having Pinot in our glass. What
That's
the heck?
so weird. How is that likely? So I want to thank everyone for joining us. We are not going to be in the kitchen next week. We're going to be out in the vineyard. We think we'll be down in Fiddlesticks. You know, with this time of year harvest, you don't know. That we've got things ripening at different times. You think there's a schedule. You look to see what happened last year, the year before, and that never matters. So it may be an early vintage for us on a lot of our vineyards.
You know who doesn't really like this pizza? Our dog. Because we often give her pizza crusts.
Yes.
And with these pizzas, I'm eating the crust.
Uh-oh. She
I
didn't
am
like
not.
it at all.
I used to call them, pizza rinds.
Pizza bones, yeah.
And pizza bones. Now she doesn't get them. So it's better for her, but it's also better
You know
for
she
me.
can see you from here.
I know.
Okay,
She's waving
all
at
right.
us. Hello.
Hey, today is National Dog Day.
That's why I mentioned her.
You have got to save her a couple of those.
Okay.
That'll just be sad
I
if you
saved her
don't.
one.
All right. So we look forward to seeing you next week. We're going to be in the vineyard, probably Santa Rita Hills, unless, something happens that you never know what's going to happen. Week after that, we'll probably be back in the kitchen or in the cellar. So cheers. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to have you stop that thing.
Oh, okay,
Because
let's
my
go
arms
stop
are just not long enough and we still don't have production people. So we're it. So thank you for joining us. It's been super fun. Go out and try and make your own pizzas only because they're easy and they're fast. And I think your family is going to love them. Until next time, cheers.
You'll never make a phone call again.